Okay, well, it's 3 o'clock, so we'll start this special workshop meeting of the Commissioners Court here in Titus County on the 10th day of March at 3 o'clock here at the courthouse. And if y'all all rise, we'll have invocation and the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just come to you, thank you, Lord, for all you do for us, Lord. I just ask you now as we go into this meeting, just to give us wisdom and insight as to what we need to do and what is best for our community. Lord, I just lift up the first responders and sergeant men and women, ask you just to watch over and take care of them, and Lord, just go with us and be with us in everything we do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One on the agenda is to discuss the Welsh Lateral project, a pipeline construction project of approximately 16 miles of pipeline to connect the Southwestern Electric Power Company Welsh Power Plant in Titus County and some gas. So today we've got Mr. Andrew Bear here. The reason that we're having this workshop today is just try to get the little information and get it out to our people that are in that part of the county. Most of that's going to be in Commissioner 4, Parker's precinct. We've got Mr. Paul Lindsay here today. He's got some property out that way. So what we want to know and talk to y'all about is you tell us how it's going to happen. That way we can inform our people on the phone calls that they're going to be getting. And me and Andrew have had a couple of conversations and met in person. And so we just kind of want to get it all out in the open here today. So Andrew, if you want to come and speak, we know that progress always comes with a few growing pains. And so we're here to find out those. If you want to speak up there, if you want to sit down, y'all sit at the table and have that microphone. And you can.
Y'all have copies of this?
We do have.
Andrew BR, I'm here with Gulf South Pipeline. I'll let the other two gentlemen who are part of the team introduce themselves real quick.
Yes, Ahmed Shahid, I'm the manager of pipeline engineering for Gulf South.
Cal Laviolette, I'm the director of land for Gulf South.
Thanks, sir.
So I've had a chance to visit with you and the commissioner, and I've worked with the Gulf South Pipeline team we were talking about it today, for 11 years. And part of the reason I like working with Gulf South is that they are very open about what they're doing, and stakeholder engagement is very important to them. So we had a phone call initially to talk about the project, and then came down and visited with the judge and the commissioner again in person. That's important to me. It's important to the company to see people face to face who you're going to be working with over a year, 2 or 3, or whatever the life of the project is. And so one of the key things is being in touch with policy leaders. I worked for a county judge down in Bexar County. I do feel a little overdressed. When I went to court, they said they didn't see the memo on the tie, and I said, well, whenever I go to court, I'm always wearing a tie, so that's why I'm wearing it. I was not wearing a tie on Friday, but I just felt like I'm in Commissioner's Court, I got to wear a tie. So, but the key thing with Gulf South Pipeline is communication, working closely with the stakeholders, be it y'all, city council members, whoever the policy leaders who are a part of this project where it touches them. So that's why I came down, that's why we visited. There was a little bit of a snafu, and I'd say the communication on our side last week, which may have predicated some of this. There were some phone calls made to some folks about survey work, that we're going to be doing survey work. And the gentleman in the field should have identified himself as being with Gulf South, and he did not. And that's where the communication broke down. And so one of the things I visited with y'all about on Friday was that's not the intent of Gulf South. They are very transparent. I can provide something to you if you'd like when I get back to the office later today or first thing tomorrow. There's an organization that Gulf South belongs to called INGA, and it's a pipeline organization that talks about their commitment to landowners and to stakeholders and what they do. And one of the things that I'm committed to is y'all have my phone number, and if there's an issue, I told the commissioner and the judge this, I've got to return that call in 24 hours. And I might not have the resolution to the issue, but I've got to call you back in 24 hours and say, this is what we're doing, I'll get back to you, we'll get a fix for that, or tell me more about what's going on, and we get it addressed. And so I want y'all to know that it hurt me a little bit to know that we had that challenge on Friday, and I think I told you two that, you know, we weren't going to be out in the field for another week or two, and then I got a call and things kind of hit really fast, and so I apologize for that. That's not how we want to operate. And what I told you the first two times we met, that is how we operate. So I feel bad that that happened. And when I was growing up in the political and government world, the last thing you want is to get a phone call, and I'm trying to think of I was talking to somebody in Wharton County about this. Elected leaders don't want to be surprised, and I know y'all don't. And I think Friday you got a bit of a surprise, and so we apologize for that. So I want to make sure that whatever we need to do to keep the lines of communication open, one of the things we do is before the team even goes out to step foot on the property, I'm going to call you and say, hey, they're going to be coming out into the field in 2 weeks, or they're going to be knocking on doors in 3 weeks. Construction's going to begin in these days. And one of the other things is we typically on a project like this, you've got 2 calls. You've got the weekly call with the internal team, with the company, and then you got the weekly call with the contractor. And part of my role on that is to wear 2 hats. One is to listen to things that could trip the project up as it relates to the stakeholders. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? It could be as little as the contractors, the construction team, they're throwing trash out in the Jones's yard, right? Or they're tearing some roads up. They're using somebody's driveway as a turnaround. So it's fixing stuff like that and listening. So that's the commitment I got. I want to stop there, see if y'all have questions for the rest of the team. Engineer, project management, the day-to-day of it. Landman handles the land team. So y'all have questions at this point I wanted to see.
So you brought the brains of the operation with
Yes,
you
sir.
today, so we see how
As
that
I
goes.
told y'all when I met with you, I said, my objective and my role is to build the relationships and keep the lines of communication. Don't feel insulted on this one, okay? Engineers think linear, right? I grew up in politics. I've been involved in this world since I was 18 and I'm 57.
Right.
Politics and government is not linear. It's the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory elevator. If you remember, that elevator goes sideways, upside down, vertical, perpendicular. And so when you're working on a project, the engineers are like, we're going from A to Z, and we're getting there. And sometimes y'all will come to us and say, well, we need to take a little bit of a turn over here and do it this way, or have you thought about that? And so what I say is I interpret politics for engineers and engineers for politics. I try to keep that bridge and, communication going both ways. So I hope you're not insulted by me saying that.
We're not here to insult anybody, for sure. Me and Jimmy had a good visit with him. Like I said, Jimmy's Commissioner 4, and that's going to be where it's mainly concerned. We're here to represent our people and to get best what's for them, and Paul being one of those that is here today. And we don't want them getting hit in the head. We don't mind getting hit in the head with something, but if we get them hit in the head, that causes us problems, and will cause Miss Monica problems as well when the phone goes to blowing up and says, well, what about this? And they don't have the answers. We got a lot of those. You being the engineer, how much did we talk about the other day as far as right-of-way that you're talking about for the pipeline will there be?
How wide is it?
How wide will that be through there?
It's typically around 50 feet
50 feet?
in terms of the permanent right.
Right.
So that's what we'll be seeking to acquire, and it's a pretty typical standard.
Okay. With gas. You have anything you want to tell us about this linear part that we're going to look at? Anything that we might need to know coming from you as the engineer on the project?
So I have to take a little bit of I'll take all the responsibility for the expediting aspect of it. We kind of gave a mandate to a project manager under our group to go ahead and get all as much of the right way acquired as you could.
Right.
And so that meant that we had to elevate change our schedule a little bit. So what I would like to let everybody know now, though, we are making phone calls. We'll be probably knocking on doors here very shortly, if not this week, next week, just trying to begin to expedite that aspect of Survey Commission.
and that will come. Anyone that'll be calling our constituents or anything will be Gulf South is who they'll be represented. That was the main concern, because like I said, we talked with him and we got a few different calls, and so Monica says, so-and-so's calling. I said, I don't know anything about that. Gulf South's who we've talked to, so that clears that part up. And coming from the land side.
That as well, and again, apologies, and our
Right.
was part of that as well. It was our contractor that made the call. I think he indicated it was from Ruff. They're independent contractors. They maintain their own LLC. What the gentleman should have said was Gulf South. That's been addressed. I was on that call personally, talk to the group, lined it out.
Not a problem. Like I said, it just kind of called it. I walked in the office and Monica's telling me about a different company, and I said, that's not it. She said, this company. And so we've got that all worked out, and Jimmy had a few questions, and Paul, do you have some questions that you'd like to ask any of these?
Well, they called me last week and told me they would meet with me before they entered that property, because all they were wanting to do was just survey. And I said, well, the gate's locked, so you're going to have to come get me if you're going to do that. And they said, sure, that's what they would do, is give me a call and meet with them before they came out. And I don't even remember if they identified what company they were with. They were just talking about the pipeline and the fact that it was probably going to could go across my property.
Can I get your last name again, sir?
Lindsay.
Okay.
He actually told me he'd call me up here this week and he'd come by my office. So I told him to work up here.
Was it a relatively pleasant experience? Was that a good exchange?
I don't have any problem with it. I just didn't know anything about it. And he did say he would meet with me prior to going out there. And I said, well, you're not going to get in anyway if you don't. So, yeah, it's a good experience.
And that's
Well, one of the good things that we talked about with Andrew is once they do get this going, as far as the survey and all that, and seeing where it's going to go, he'll do a drive-through or whatever you want to call that, and we'll take a phone, I'm assuming camera, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, and we're going to ride all those roads so that if there is something already messed up on Paul Lindsay's road, we know it there. But if not, and the trucks or something of that nature comes in, and that's something that we're going to work out with our county attorney, which is not here today, is so that we're going to decide whether they're going to repair it or they're going to give us the proper material or exactly what. So some of that will be figured on out down the road, but we do want the people to know that that's what we're looking at. I think that gives the gas company a fair shot at it, and it keeps us safe on our side, so that there is damage, then they're going to know that we're going to be looking to get it taken care of. And so
That is something that Gulf South always, every project I've been involved with them on, I call it a ride-along, you know.
Right.
Whoever, it'll be maybe you two or whoever in the vehicle. I don't get to go do that, but they'll ride, because I go back to my days working for Judge Cryer. Back then, San Antonio had a lot more rural space than it does today. It's grown tremendously, right? And the thing I was taught is commissioners, and it doesn't matter if you're in Harris County, Titus County, wherever you are, y'all have one job, and that's your roads, really. I mean, there's other things that y'all do, but the roads are what make your constituents happy or mad at you. And we recognize that. And so that's the commitment. We want to go in, I call it, historical view of the road, videotape it, and then I don't want to get in the middle of the details of how that gets worked out. That's something that at the appropriate time, we get the appropriate folks from the county, Gulf South together to talk about the details of that. But they're very sensitive to the fact that the roads are poor beyond.
Like I said, we talked about on Friday, if we get the ball early, we know how it's bouncing. We don't have to worry about if it's going sideways. And with us being able to speak with you once a week and you speaking with your side, we don't get a big hole out there before we can get it accomplished and back on track on the rail ride. So that's what we want to do, is work alongside you. We're not here to be the enemy for sure, but we're here to take care of our people, and that's what Jimmy and these 4 commissioners will do. So on that. One other thing that we talked about is y'all want to be involved in the community as well. There'll be some projects and stuff along the way as far as our ag FFA each year, something there. And then there's a couple of schools out there that we would appreciate any.
So I did, on your request, Friday afternoon after we left our meeting, I did go meet with Daniel Pritchett, and I think it's John Russell over at the school district at Chapel Hill.
John, come.
He's talking about at Chapel Hill, I
Chapel
think.
Hill. Chapel Hill. So I met with the leadership from Chapel Hill and had a great visit. They comfortable with the project. They said, thanks for coming by. And they talked about a couple of things that they've got there. The chef program
Right.
is something that they mentioned, so I'm going to bring that to the attention of the client. The other item was we did go sit down and meet with Ron Clinton from the
Dr. Clinton
community
from the
college.
NDCC.
I was excited. I don't know, I think we talked about this at lunch. I used to do NASCAR pit crew work.
Okay,
And
no.
so the fact that the Shelby
The
school
Shelby's
is
there.
there, they're like, come back again and come see some of the last cars that Shelby actually drove and owned. I want to come back. I'm fired up about it. They've got some stuff, particularly a welding program over there that they had mentioned. And I like the fact that they were kind of thoughtful about what can the client potentially support that works for them but is in sync with the client. And when you're building a pipeline, there's a whole lot of welding going on.
Right.
So we talked about how we support those. I know there's a couple of programs that are important to the county, and so we, once we kind of get this up and running, those are things that I'm going to bring back to them, and we'll see how we can be engaged. There's, again, I've been working for 11 years. I always say this, though, I think we mentioned it when we were at our first meeting or even on the first phone call. The oil and gas guys have a really big budget. The pipeline guys, the budget's a little smaller, right? The oil and gas guys are going to come in and they'll throw around 25 grand like it's a nickel. So our guys are going to contribute and they're going to be there and being engaged. Their budget's a little more modest, but they want to find a place where it can be impactful. I think the story I might have shared with y'all, one of them was we were in like San Augustine or Sabine County working on a project, and the volunteer fire department, let's just say that when you were using the facilities, you could see through the wall. It was so bad. So Gulf South made a contribution to the fire department to help. So there was one aspect of it. Then they asked me, and I went to them and said, hey, I think there's some other ways we can help. So I went to the state senator's office. Our firm also works in Austin. And asked them, are there some dollars we can get somewhere in the state? Well, there was some forestry dollars that they could have gotten was grants. Then I got them in, at that point, I think Homework was in Congress, Louis was in Congress, and we went to the U.S. Forestry Service, and I brought those two offices together and said, okay, how do we help get more for this volunteer fire department? So I'm always looking for creative ways where the client can make a contribution and be a part of the community, but if there's a way I see that through the people I know here in Texas that we can do things that bring resources to the table, I'm always happy to think creatively and do things that are creative as well.
Like I said, we're excited that y'all are coming. That means that we're going to keep a few jobs out there at Welsh Power Plant, and that's big to us. It's one of our supporters of Titus County with the employees and stuff. So getting gas to them is going to be important. Have y'all got a time frame or anything to that nature, what y'all are looking at, trying to project from start to completion or anything of that nature?
So, looking to begin construction in October, roughly, of 2026, with the in-service in early 2027. Early to mid-2027.
I just double check and see if you're going to tell me what's on here, or you're going to tell me something. But we hope to finish before that, right? We hope to finish before that, right?
We always wanted to be
There,
finished.
there you go.
The sooner we finish, the sooner that pipeline goes click, 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 right?
Making more money for them, so.
Come on out towards Sugar Hill and put some out there while you at it then.
Well, I'll tell you something that when I was doing some of the homework before I came to meet with y'all, and I think you two mentioned it as well, there were some issues in Franklin County, right, with those solar projects and wind. Can't remember if it was both.
Both,
And they basically told the county to stick it.
yes.
When I heard that, I kind of thought, wow, that's an interesting approach. One of my first projects with them, I'd say in the top three I did, we were in Commissioner's Court presenting like this, and meeting went well, it was very cordial. The judge adjourned, and we were all kind of sitting around talking. The Gulf South team had left, was walking out. I was in talking to one of the commissioners, and he said, wait a minute. I think there was a project y'all did here about 5 years ago. And we had no pipeline projects, perfect. And my wife was sitting here, she's my business partner. She'd say, don't ever say anything bad about the client. I think this is a good thing. 5 years back, there was a project. The sub was supposed to have taken care of a bunch of roads in that precinct. Walked it. and left the commissioner to pay for his own freight. They said, bring them back in here. I went and got the PM, and I said, the court wants to come back and visit with commissioners and the judge. Right off the bat, it was, hey, if you can't fix this, you're not coming to work here. And that was resolved very quickly. So that's kind of how these men and women think.
Well, that's perfect.
To
because
that point, again, my wife would get mad at me because I'm telling a bad story about a client, but I think it's an example of where it was Steve Gresham. He literally said, we'll get this taken care of. We will get this fixed. Because if we can't be on the right of way, if we can't be in your community using those roads, we can't work. We don't have a business project.
Right. And that's like with me and Jimmy discussing it with you. If we speak weekly, we don't run into those kind of problems. And then once we get to the point where we're finna start doing work, we'll sit down with y'all's law teams and John Mark and get whatever lawyers we need so that we're all on the same page and we're going to know it'll be taken care of, and we'll have it in writing as well. And as on our side of it, you'll be taken care of both sides.
One thing that I asked you about the other day was this map, but having road numbers and all on it. That's one thing that would help me when people call, because I had a guy call me this morning, and he said, hey, I got a call and there won't come across the plate. He didn't have a problem with it, but he said, is there any chance? He said, I asked the guy that I was talking to about it. He said he told me that I'd have to confer with our commissioner. And he said, so that's the reason I'm calling you. He said, but is there any chance that there may be some risers put up off of this line somewhere through the project that, you know, where they could tie onto it at some point? That was one of the things that he wanted to know. He said,
Tie on for gas, on the tie on to the gas.
Yeah.
There are a lot of poultry houses that would love to be natural gas.
That's why I'm going to come down where I'm at.
But there's several chicken houses that's going to be close to it from what I can gather. And I know they would like to tie them to it, because I was in the chicken business for 30 years, and I know what that propane and stuff is.
I haven't forgotten your request from Matt. We are working on that. I know we have.
You have something to discuss off of today.
Yeah, if you wanted to look at it, I have not forgotten that. We're at a convergence where a lot of people went on spring break. Yeah. And so I will say the management team knows how to work the system, but I think the men and women who do it day to day all gone at the same time. So I have not forgotten. I know y'all asked for that. It is not something I have forgotten.
And I wanted to bring it up about him. The first call I got about it, the guy called and said, hey, he said, is there a pipeline coming through here? This was before I even had talked to you or anything, and I said, I don't know, but I would think there was probably a good probability, because Welsh power plant is fixing to convert to natural gas. And I said, so I don't know where they're even thinking about coming in from or anything. And I don't feel like that the line that is down by the school along now would handle anything like that. And he said, okay, I just want to know. He says, if you don't know where it's going or anything else. And I said, no, not at this point. And I said, but I'll get with you when I do find out. So
I'll get you that map. It may be
That's
late this
okay.
week or early next week.
It's okay. And as soon as we do get those, of course, Jimmy will have them in his precinct. Monica will have them here at the judge's office. Anybody that they'll be playing this in a little bit. So any of those that are concerned out there and listening to this today, once we get those, we'll let them say it in Commissioner's Court. Jimmy will have them, and Monica will have them also in our office there.
What kind of pressure is going to be run on this pipeline, 16-inch pipeline?
Yes, sir.
What kind of pressure?
What kind of pressure?
Yeah, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 500 pounds?
It's going to be close to around 1,200 pounds.
1,200, okay. That's what it's wanting. And another thing, when y'all go through a county road, are y'all going to cut the county road or bore under it?
So it depends on the preference. I will say, dirt roads, typically, we will try to open cut. If it's an asphalt road, we would typically bore. So, you know, but that's a
Yeah,
kind
the
of.
major highways you have to bore under. The major highways you have to bore under.
Major
them.
highways we have
And
to
you'll
bore
have to bore under the railroad. You'll go across the railroad track here also.
Yes.
But the county roads, you may cut them and then replace, put them back, whatever.
Yes, so we kind of operate under the Boy Scout code,
Yeah.
you know, leave no trace.
Right.
So that's really the way we're going to try to work it. You know, we're going to leave it as good or better than we found it. So we have a commitment with our warranty work and the way we do roads and any of our crossings that we warranty any defects that you see, we'll come back out and fix it. But in general, from an overall construction standpoint, sometimes it is more cost effective.
People panic when you cut a road or anything. You know, it might be, people panic. It may be 3 ways into that place, but that's the way they go every day, and they panic, you know, when you cut a road. They say, how long is it gonna be? And here you welders and everybody's down there just working, but, you know, they panic.
And what's the depth on it? The depth? How deep?
The depth.
The depth of the line.
All right, yeah.
He's not used to our East Texas accents yet. If you're down here long, you'll get used to them.
You say we got an accent? I don't think we do, do y'all?
So during in the open grass and agricultural fields, it'll be a 4-foot minimum. Under the road, there's probably at least a 4 foot under the bar ditch.
Okay.
Which, depending on where we're operating, just to add a little bit, Tom, depending on where we're operating, some counties have a preference, some counties have strict protocol. Obviously, we're going to come to you guys for permitting and kind of tell us what you're interested in. Some don't, and some we use industry standards and just work with the, almost say parish for the permitting.
And he's not from Texas, as you can tell.
He might be Louisiana over there.
Deep in southern Louisiana.
Deep, he is real low Louisiana. And mine and Jimmy's understanding was that'd be something that we'd work out after we've had the drive-through, where the roads are going to be, and that'd be kind of a Jimmy discussion on if we're going to cut one of your roads or need to go under it. So
All of it, there will be no surprises. We want to sit down with you in the beginning and say, here's the roads we're going to use. Here's roads where we're going to be working. Here's where we're going to be. Most of the time, they're going to bore. There will be occasions where they have to cut, because I told y'all they typically will not cut if they don't have to, right? That will all be discussed. And that's all. The old mentality used to be with pipelines is build it, who cares, right? We don't care what the landowners say. We live in a different world, and that we all know is predicated by social media today, right? And my daughter does it for a living. I still can't believe I'm not dissing on my little girl, but they pay someone to do that, right?
Yeah.
And in one instance, if we do something wrong to one of your constituents, the whole world will know about it. And so we want to make sure, we want to make sure that we are communicating, and they will. You'll have a team folks that'll sit down with you before everything gets started, and you're going to know where we're going to be.
It'll be on Facebook before you know it.
No. Well, that's for old people. That's for old guys like me. Young people are like Instagram and I don't know, all that other stuff.
Right. Well, we're glad to have you here. We appreciate you coming today and giving our constituents some knowledge on what's going on. Me and Jimmy can tell them some, but I think y'all been very enlightening today and helping us there. Like I said, with us meeting, having a call once a week, I don't think we're going to get anything too big out of realm before we can get it handled. And like I said, as soon as it starts spreading, the quicker that we can get it taken care of, the better off y'all are and the better off we are as well. So.
Monica, can we get some copies of this?
Yeah.
Maybe wait till we can get one with the map with the road numbers and all that.
And that may take, like I said, end of this week, first of next week.
If we can get copies of it, if somebody called me, I'd say, hey, I'll bring you a copy of what I've got here and kind of explain what's going on and show you the route and all that. So,
I'd like for you to have some in your truck, Monica have some here at the office, and then taking one by can save a lot of problems if we know what's going on instead of no knowledge on it. So
yeah, if we can get ahead of it, the more we can stay ahead of it, the better off we are.
knowledge is power, and the more knowledge we can get them, the better off we'll be. Anybody have any other questions? Jeff, you got any questions? Or?
Does the landowner have a say on where this can go on their land, or is it just where y'all just say, okay, it's going to go right here when you come on their land?
We absolutely try to work with the landowner, but especially.
I'll give you just a little more color to that. Yes, we want to work, our goal at the end of the day is to work in amicable deal with the landowners, so we walk away with the win, they walk away with the win. There's some, due to permitting constraints and so on and so forth, we don't have absolute just power to say, yeah, we'll go over here, we'll go over there. But we do leave ourselves some leeway. I'd like to address that a little more detail. What we're after now in the survey permission phase is basically a 400-foot swath, 200 feet on either side of the proposed center line. We're in the process of designing this pipeline. The survey obviously helps us to see the lay of the land. While we're working with landowners, we take that opportunity to understand their concerns and what those may be, and where we might be able to make those moves.
There's a little bit of cushion.
So we do have some leeway, and we pride ourselves on working with them. And a lot of that, again, is vetted out, or at least that's our expectation, with them during the survey commission phase, prior to acquisition.
I don't have to.
No? Paul, anything that you got?
Tell him go back, Paul, over at Sugar Hill.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Since
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
motion made to adjourn by Commissioner Mitchell.
I gotta go.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor? Aye. We will adjourn at 3:32.